Good morning. I was having trouble working on some of my other video projects, so I figured I'd just come out into the yard and show you what's changed since the last garden tour. As you can see, the phlox is done blooming right now. So all those flowers have died, but it's still a really nice foliage. We've got some native plants over here that are just now starting to bloom. Look at these, look how pretty these flowers are. I don't really know what it is. We've had a bit of rain recently, so we had some mushrooms start growing on our mulch pile. These are already spent. Ash asked me to mow down the weeds in the front yard, so I did, but mainly because they saw little mice hanging out and going into little burrows like this, which we have all over the yard. So I trimmed down the weeds so they had a little less places to hide. We don't necessarily want field mice just hanging out in our front yard. Our zinnia here is still struggling. But, you know, we've got some other blooms on the other flowers. So they're still surviving, even if they're not the prettiest. Our peonies are just now starting to bloom. So you can see, here's our first fully open bloom. And we're gonna have quite a lot of them this year. Our herbs seem to be recovering from being transplanted. This is our parsley, and as you can see, it's nice and bushy now. Here's our chives hidden off in the corner. And then over here, I'm pretty sure this is our catnip. I didn't label these as well as I should have, but you can see they're getting quite bushy. The thyme, this is thyme. It didn't do so well when it was first transplanted, but it looks like it's recovering pretty nicely. I don't remember what this herb is. As you can see, it's starting to flower. The blackberries are still blooming, but as you can see, some of those blooms are starting to turn into berries. They still won't be ripe for probably a few months yet. I think they start getting ripe in June and July, but they're starting to show. And judging by the look of them, we're gonna have quite a few. I have no idea what this tree is in the backyard. I didn't really even notice it before. It's got some sort of fruit on it. I'm interested to see how they develop. Ash got the whole backyard mowed, so we can actually start putting cardboard down. Blueberry plants are always tricky to grow, especially in containers. We put these containers out a few years ago, and I was worried that we wouldn't have any sort of berries or any sort of flowers because we haven't been adding acid to the soil. But take a look. We got some berries in right there. And there's a few more right over here, as you can see. So we're probably not actually going to get a berry harvest this year, but I'm happy that we got some berries anyway. That plant that I thought looked kind of like garlic and had the little egg sac there on it, it's now starting to bloom. It's very pretty. I'm glad that Ash didn't mow over it. As you can see, we've got a few more plants in our 5-gallon planter, and it looks like they're doing really well. I was really worried about them for a minute because they had those burnt leaves and they were feeling very droopy. But I watered them in the evening last night and they seem to have perked back up. This pepper seems especially happy. Hey there, little Bumble. How you doing? Just hanging out with the plants? The strawberries are coming along nicely. Some even have flowers, even though they were just planted. Look at how nice they look. We got ourselves some raised beds from Farm and Fleet. Nothing too fancy. We couldn't afford too fancy, but we got 4 of them. They're not quite spaced out where we want it. We're going to put cardboard down, just like you see here, over this whole area to control the weeds. And then we're going to space out the raised beds on top of them. Thanks for joining me on this short garden tour. I appreciate you coming with me on this journey as I learn how to garden and film and edit that film for YouTube. And I appreciate all of your support. So thank you very much, and I hope you have a wonderful day.